The first is, who inspires you? Well, there are a lot of people that have inspired me to become a judge and a lawyer. But I think I would have to go way back to junior high school. I grew up on a small potato farm in southern Oregon. The three youngest of us in the family boarded at Sacred Heart Academy in Klamath Falls, Oregon. By the time I reached junior high school, the Sisters of St. Francis decided that they could no longer maintain the boarding program. The judge in town, Judge David Vandenberg, called my father and suggested that I live with him for the last 2 years of junior high school. It was a terrific experience. The judge took me to his courtroom. He actually gave me law books to read. At the age of 12, I was reading Blackstone's commentaries. The judge inspired me to go to law school. He inspired me to become a lawyer. So Judge Vandenberg inspired my 32-year career as a judge. What words of wisdom would you share with someone starting their legal career? I think I would recommend to any new lawyer that you always be intellectually curious. In other words, never be afraid to learn something new. When I was appointed to the Alameda County Superior Court in January of 1988, the presiding judge was a good friend of mine, Mike Bellacci. Mike came to me and said, "Ming, what area of the law do you know least about?" I said, "You know, Mike, I've tried every kind of criminal case imaginable as a deputy DA, everything from petty theft to murder. In some 15 years in private practice in downtown Oakland, I worked on every kind of civil case imaginable." But I told Mike that the only area of practice I have not touched is family law. And Mike said, "Ming, guess where you're going to be assigned? A family law." I immediately attended the 40-hour advanced family law class put on by CJER, the Center for Judicial Education and Research. I served longer than I needed to in family law. Mike Bellacci came to me 6 months into my tenure there and said, "Ming, I really need you in law in motion." I said, "Mike, I could do law in motion standing on my head, but do you really think it's fair to the family law bar and the litigants, now that I've learned family law, to move me to another department?" Mike said, "Ming, you're absolutely right. You can stay in family law." And he said, "By the way, you're the first judge ever to ask to stay in family law." The second example I want to give you about never being afraid to learn something new is my extensive work in forensic DNA. When I was on the Court of Appeal, I was assigned a DNA case. What did I know about DNA? Absolutely nothing. I had to jump in with both feet, learn the field, and wrote one of the first opinions dealing with the admissibility of DNA evidence in a criminal case. And as a result of that case, I was asked by CJER, the continuing education arm of the court, to teach DNA to judges. I eventually got invited by the FBI Academy to come to Quantico, Virginia to teach DNA. And finally, at the invitation of the royal family, to teach in Thailand. So never be afraid to learn something new and always remain intellectually curious. The third question that Brianna wanted me to answer was, if you could do it over again, would you change anything? I have had a legal and judicial career that was exciting, challenging, and rewarding. And professionally, I cannot think of anything that I would change. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. I hope that at some future date we get to meet in person.